So they say go big or go home, guys. First bids of 2022, 3rd of January, BCA auctions, and this is what I'm bidding on. I've put in, what have we got in here? 16, 22, 23 bids. Got 23 bids out for tomorrow. As you can see, it's pretty much all small stuff. Some stuff that older than I normally do, but only petrols. Check the MOT histories on them quite carefully beforehand. The bids are low. You know, I normally bid low at BCA. I'm not going to get caught up in the mad bidding. It's got to be worth doing. We've got a Nissan Note in there, but that's an automatic with some bad bodywork on it. We've got basically anything small. I think going into the new year, first few months of the year, it's going to be people who desperately need a car. Theirs was broken down, that kind of thing, because they'll be recovering from spending out at Christmas. So I'm looking for cheapies. So lots of cheapies. There is some sneaky bids in there. Jeep Wrangler, only bid on that because my wife's always wanted one. So if I see them, I put a cheeky bid on them. So I could get her potentially the car she's always wanted to have, because I have enough of my own toys, so she does deserve one. But yeah, the rest of it's just cheap stuff. And all I've done on all of these is go and check the MOT histories on them, make sure the MOT looks decent. Some of them got fairly new MOTs, or at least sort of 8 months on them. A lot of them are only grade 4s and 5s, so I know I'm going to have to do body work on them. So I've just put the appropriate bid in. So we'll catch up again after these have run through and see what the results are. Now, the other thing we're going to check out tonight when looking for cars is Salvage Market. And a lot of you asked me about Salvage Market since I put out the last video where I won the Fiat 500 and the Volvo V70, which were both great buys. So obviously a lot of you started to ask me about Salvage Market, how it works, how you can get on it and so forth. So I'll show you that. Just before I do go into that though, I will say at this point that all opinions that I have of the vehicles that I share with you are my personal opinions. I'm not a trained structural engineer on vehicles or anything of the sort. So they are just personal opinions and they cannot be taken as gospel. You have to form your own opinions. And obviously with salvage vehicles, you need to bear in mind what your skill level is in terms of what repairs you can take on. And that, you know, for everyone that's good, there's one that's got hidden damage that ends up costing a lot more than you think it's going to be. So as long as you go into it with your eyes open like that, that's fine. So that's my little caveat speech before we go any further with this. So how Salvage Market works, you can join it as a consumer. You don't have to be a business. There's no need to prove you're a business, but they do want £60, I think it is, to register with them to have a year's access. Once you've done that, you can come into Salvage Market and check out all the vehicles that are on offer. So what I'm going to check today is I'm going to go into items and see what's on offer tonight. Now, what Salvage Market does is gather all the vehicles from all the salvage sites. So a lot of them are breaker yards and so forth. People that have bought the vehicles off of the insurance companies. And they're all vehicles that insurance companies have decided for whatever reason they don't want to do the repair on. Now, you do have different categories. The only true written-off cars, completely written off, are the breakers, which you can't buy unless you have a breaker's license. The rest have all been deemed as suitable for repair, but the insurance company has to factor in paying for a hire car, having to only use new parts and make the car as new. They have to make it as new. So their costs are a lot higher than potentially yours and mine, where we'd use used parts and maybe live with the odd ding and scratch and so forth. So it doesn't mean they're bad cars. It just means that the finance doesn't stack up for the insurance companies to do it, but it might do for us. So you've got different categories. You've got X non-recorded. I don't go for those because they are basically mechanical problems. And traditionally, someone's had plenty of goes at it and can't work out what it is. So I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not going to deem that I'm better than them. So I'm not going to get involved in that. You've then got non-structurally damage. That means it's just panel damage. You've got S structural damage. Now, with S, what I'd say is, again, that means that the vehicle has been structurally damaged. And it could be something quite light, but it could be something quite serious, like a chassis leg. So unless you have this set of skills to do that, you normally need specialist pulling equipment. and you need measuring equipment. You need to be of a high standard when it comes to welding, that kind of things. I would avoid those completely if this is what you're getting into, unless you are of that standard. Know you're of that standard. In terms of putting the cars back on the road, a lot of people ask me that. A Cat N car can simply go back on the road with the MOT it has, believe it or not. It doesn't have to be checked over by anybody because it was non-structural. I would say you should still get the vehicle MOT'd. Have someone else check over your work, make sure the car is safe. But no, from a factual point, you can drive it on any remaining MOT. Cat S cars need to have a new MOT, but again, they don't actually have any structural check on them after the repair has been done. All they have to do is pass a new MOT, which could be deemed as a little bit scary in some people's eyes, and I'd probably agree slightly. So Cat S cars do need to be going for a new MOT. They couldn't be driven on any existing MOT. So with a Cat N car, you could check out what the existing MOT was on the vehicle and drive it on that, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would get it in for a new MOT after you've done your work. So getting into things, I'm going to select vehicles that close tonight because I know that the nearest auction to me is down in Bodmin and it ends tonight. So I'm going to have a look at what's down there. So one thing to factor in straight away is the distance from you. Most of the sites will offer a delivery service, so you need to factor that into your costs. And if they don't offer a delivery service, you need to factor in some of these cars are non-drivable and they'll be forklift onto the back of a trailer. So you need to have a means of getting them off the other end as well. So you really need to be looking for a runner driver if you don't have the facilities to forklift a car off the other end. So bear that in mind. And obviously factor in the cost of transportation. I can't tell you what transportation is going to cost because I don't know where you are and how far you are from the site you're buying from. So you need to check that out yourself. But I would say on average, factor between £100 to £200 at least for the delivery side of things. Each car normally has a fee of about £45 for the site fees. And then you have the fees on top. So if I give you a quick example of one of those, looking at one of my previous wins. So here is the Volvo you saw me win last time. I won it for £2,300. The fees were £180 for the purchase price and then £55 for the fees on top. Those are just general fees. There was £47 of VAT. Now, obviously, I can claim that back as a VAT registered person, but you might not be able to. So when you won that car at 2.3, you had these additional costs of £235 on top. So again, what I tend to do is factor in a total cost. The way I do it is factor in total cost of around about £500 in fees and delivery by the time I get the car to me, and I'm going to be safe. So when I bid, I always allow for about another £500 on top. So you might want to do the same thing. If you're not going to do that, you need to work out exactly what the cost will be by going through the table to see what the fees are at the level you're bidding at and what delivery is going to be to you. So as I said, knowing that it's going to be £500 pretty much on top of any of these cars, I start to have a little look through. We'll pick the first one up here, which is a Cat N Mercedes. I wouldn't normally bid on this because it's 2007 and that's a bit of an older vehicle. It's unlikely to have a particularly high sales price when it comes to selling it on. Quickly, in terms of what you should be selling the vehicles if you're looking to flip them on, I tend to take about 25 to 30% off normal retail. For a Cat S, 30%. For a Cat N, 20 to 25% off of the normal retail price. So I would go on to Auto Trader, see what this car is selling for normally, and then take about 25% off. So I've got an idea of what my likely sale price is going to be. If it was Cat S, like I say, it'd be 30%. Scrolling down, first thing I'm going to look for is the car runner driver. So I can see the engine starts and the drivetrain works. We do have keys. You need to check that because keys are a very expensive problem if you haven't got them sometimes. There's no service history. There's never going to be any service history as a general rule with these. It's been left at home, not been in the car. People have taken it out with the personal effects, that kind of thing. So don't rely on it having service history. Sometimes you can track them through manufacturer, but some manufacturers aren't very helpful. So bear that in mind. There's never a V5 document with the salvage cars. They're destroyed. So you need to get a new V5. That can be done by completing what's called a V62 form, which you can take down the post office or post to send off for a new V5. That costs £25. If the vehicle has been put into trade, you can fill out the V62 form, go down the post office and tax and register the vehicle all at once and be driving the vehicle straight away. but the vehicle does need to have been put into the trade. If it's not been, you won't be able to do that. You'll have to wait for the form to come back through the post, and that can take 3 or 4 weeks, so remember that as well. So looking at the car, we'll have a look at it, see if I'd have said this was a good example for one of you guys. So if we're scrolling back down again, what I didn't do is check what it said the damage was. It said the vehicle sustained near side and rear damage. So we're looking for the near side and rear. There may well be on a vehicle of this age other damage as well. So if we zoom in, looking down this side, it all looks good. There's a bit of a, no, it's just a reflection I think on the chrome. We're all good down the side of the car here. It looks actually really clean. Now you can see the bonnet's open, and a lot of you go, oh, there's damage to the bonnet. No, they open the bonnets normally to jump start them and take photos of the engine bay. So the bonnets are normally open. You can see there's no damage to the bumper at all there, or the edge of the bonnet, or the headlights. And it didn't note any front end damage. So that's just where they've had a look inside the car. Let's have a look down this side. We can see there's a ding along the door here. Okay, so again, nothing serious. This is Cat N, non-structural, and a ding on the rear wing there. I'm not seeing anything across the bumper there. The rest of the car actually looks really clean, to be fair. Quick check this side again. Looking all good. Now, it's always worth to have another double check and go around the car one more time and make sure you can see what the damage is. But that one looks like very minor damage to me. So why would it have been written off? Well, because it's a 2007 car, and the insurance company would need to replace that door and that door. They're not allowed to filler those and sand and fill them and paint over the top, which you could do. You could sand that, spray up to that bump strip there, and you're good to go again. Insurance company can't do that. They've got to replace both the doors. So straight away, it's uneconomical for them to do the repair. Little ding here, you could sand and spray that in as well. Or with a vehicle of this age, I would say that you would just run it as it was. If it's for yourself, just run it as it was, or sell it cheaply with a little bit of damage on it. Have a quick look at the interior. We can see what the condition is. This looks immaculate, guys. Gosh, doesn't that look clean? I'm also selling the car myself here. That is really clean. Really clean. Sorry, my internet's a bit slow. So looking in the engine bay, if this was a front end damaged car, I'd be looking at this trim here to see if there's any cracks in the plastics, if the headlight tabs are okay and so forth, but it's clearly not got into the engine bay at all here. The engine bay all looks nice and tidy. Car's been sitting around for a while somewhere. It all looks pretty good to me. Look at the dashboard. Always have a good look at the dashboard and see if there's any engine management lights on. Here we can just see we've got low fuel, 95,000 miles, no other alerts. It is look to see on the speedo to see if the car is running. So we can see that the car is actually running. Obviously, if that was down there, the car would be turned off. But the car is running, so if there were engine management lights, they should be showing at this point. So overall, to me, that looks like a cracking little bike to run around in. Now, £670 plus my 500. I'm running into £1,200 odd for the vehicle, aren't I? What is one of these worth? I don't know. I'd have to go and have a little look. But if I was looking for a little cheap run around for myself at the moment, I would absolutely probably take a look at that. You can get the registration from the vehicle by clicking here. You've got to do a quick security check, and then you can go off and check the MOT history for yourself. And it's worth checking the MOT history to see what kind of a vehicle it was in terms of how well it's looked after. I'd say from the photos, looking at that, that looks like a very well looked after car. But occasionally you can find Cat S's that are quite light. So a quick look at this 2014, you know I like an Alfa Romeo. £2,000 at the moment for a 2014 QV, which is the top of the range in the little Mitos. So that is a nice spec car. White is a nice easy colour to paint. So let's zoom in quickly with that and see if we can find out where the damage is at. Now I haven't scrolled down the bottom and seen, given the indicators to where the damage were, because I think I've already seen it there, but I haven't checked it to run a driver. So you can see it's completely straight down this side, completely straight round here, but then the damage is all in the rear quarter here. You can see there's a big dent there, big dent along the sill there and there. Now that dent there, I would imagine, the glue-on plastic pullers will be able to pull that dent out, and then you'll be left with a dent here and in the sill. Now, I find sill damage on Cat S cars funny, because if you take the car to Quick Fit or whoever and they jack your car incorrectly and dent your sill, you just carry on driving it. But if you have a dent in your sill and you claim off the insurance, they write it off as structurally damaged. That could possibly be pulled out with a dent puller, and I don't believe it would really cause any structural, integrity issues. But again, there might be someone who's more qualified to tell me exactly on that front. I guess, yeah, for the insurance, again, the thing would be they'd drill out all the spot welds, take the glass out, drill out all the spot welds for this entire rear quarter panel, and weld a new quarter panel in. And that is doable as well. If you've got the skills, it's doable. Again, that's one I wouldn't personally go for. Too much work for me at the moment, but I don't think it looks like a particularly hard repair. Like I say, I don't think that panel actually needs replacing. I think that would pull out. You could have a new bit of sill welded in if you wanted to be entirely structurally covered on that front. But this here would be, all of this, if it wasn't for that sill down there, this would be a Cat N car, non-structural, because it's just a panel there. So that is actually, I think that's a good little buy, that. Quick little look inside again. All very clean. The engine is running and we have no engine management lights on. So that's one that potentially under normal circumstances I might be interested in, but I haven't got time at the moment. Now, that car I think would probably be about a £6,000 car. I'm pretty sure that's a 5995. What's the mileage on that one? 43,000 miles. I would say it runs and drives. It's got keys. I would say that is normally a £6,000 car retail. It might be more. Last time I sold one was before prices got crazy, so that might be worth more than £6,000. It's easily worth £4,000 even as a Cat S car. So if you could take that dent out and filler that sill and spray it and so forth, sorry, pull the sill out and filler it and spray it, you could end up spending very little money actually repairing that car. But again, I think you need to take advice on whether that sill needs to have a bit welded in. But even if you had somebody do that, I think there's still money to be made on that, depending where it ends. This obviously has an hour and 18 minutes left on it. So it could end up quite a lot higher than that. You've got your £500 roughly fees on top, so about £2,500. Then you've got your repairs, maybe 500 quid. You could be in it for £3,000, and then 3,995 it. Depends how much higher it goes. So the way bidding works, I can put a bid on this now. So out of interest, I might just put that on just to see what happens with this car. So I've put my bid on. It says I'm not winning because it's automatically bidding up to somebody else. So let's just stick 100 quid on it, for example. I'm still not winning at the moment, so I'll leave it there. But what happens is you can wait to the last minute to bid, but then the bidding will restart again for a few minutes, so someone can hop back in again, and it just keeps doing it. So to be honest, I don't see an awful lot of point. My recommendation is just go and put your highest bid in first, your best bid, and just leave it and walk away, because otherwise you'll get into a bidding war and overpay on it. So you just... Anyway, I'm going to catch up with you soon and let you know how we got on with the auction bids at BCA. I can't see anything here today particularly that I'm interested in bidding on at Salvage Market today. I think I'll see how I get on with those bids at the other auctions. Yeah, I can't really see anything of particular interest to me here. Oh, you do get random stuff like this every now and then. A little automatic Austin Maxi. Now that is a project and a half. That's not something I would take on myself. But just like I say, you need to go into it with a healthy level of caution in terms of choosing vehicles. But there are bargains to be had. Anyway, catch you again soon.